If you've ever felt like the system quietly took something from you that you worked your entire life to earn, then stay right here. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to find out exactly how that money could finally be coming back to you, and why some retirees are already seeing their monthly income jump by $300 or more. This isn't speculation, and it's not some distant proposal. This is happening right now, and if you or someone you love worked in public service, what you're about to hear could directly affect your financial future in a very real way. Now, before we get into the details, understand this. For decades, millions of hardworking Americans were unknowingly shortchanged. These were not people trying to game the system. These were teachers shaping young minds, firefighters risking their lives, police officers protecting communities, and government employees keeping essential services running. They showed up every day, did their jobs, and trusted that when retirement came, the system they paid into would be there for them. But for many, that trust didn't pay off the way it should have. And here's where things start to get frustrating. There were two specific rules buried deep within the Social Security system that most people didn't even know existed. They weren't clearly explained, and they certainly weren't easy to understand. Yet, they had a massive impact on people's lives. These rules quietly reduced benefits, sometimes by hundreds of dollars a month, and in some cases, wiped them out almost entirely. Imagine working for years, even decades, contributing to Social Security through certain jobs, only to find out later that your benefits were being reduced because of a technical formula you were never properly told about. That's exactly what happened to millions of people. These rules affected those who had pensions from jobs that didn't contribute to Social Security in the traditional way. Many public service roles fall into this category. But here's the important part. A lot of these individuals didn't spend their entire careers in those roles. They often worked second jobs, switched careers at some point, or picked up part-time work that did contribute to Social Security. So they earned those benefits fair and square. But when it came time to collect, the numbers didn't add up the way they expected. For some, their monthly checks were reduced significantly. For others, especially spouses and surviving spouses, the situation was even worse. There were cases where people who should have received spousal or survivor benefits ended up with little to nothing. Think about that for a moment. Losing a spouse is already one of the hardest experiences anyone can go through. Now imagine dealing with that loss and then being told the financial support you counted on is either drastically reduced or gone altogether. That was the reality for millions, and it didn't just create inconvenience. It created long-term financial strain. People had to make tough decisions every single month. Do you pay for medication or groceries? Do you keep the heat on or save that money for rent? These aren't abstract scenarios. This was daily life for many retirees who had done everything right but still ended up struggling now. To be fair, when these rules were first introduced back in the 1980s, there was a rationale behind them. The idea was to prevent what was seen as double dipping, where someone could receive both a full government pension and full Social Security benefits. On paper, that might sound reasonable, but the way it was implemented didn't reflect real-life work patterns. The formulas used were broad and didn't account for the complexity of people's careers. They didn't consider the fact that many individuals paid into both systems at different times in their lives. And because of that, the people who ended up being penalized were often the ones who worked the hardest across multiple sectors. Over time, it became clear that something wasn't right. Advocates started speaking up. Retirees shared their stories. Unions and organizations pushed for reform. Lawmakers introduced bills, held discussions, and tried to bring attention to the issue. But for years, nothing seemed to stick. Efforts would gain momentum and then stall. For those affected, it felt like being stuck in a loop, hope followed by disappointment. Again and again. But eventually, persistence paid off. After years of pressure and growing awareness, Congress finally took action. The Social Security Fairness Act was passed with strong bipartisan support. This wasn't about one political party winning over another. It was about acknowledging that something was fundamentally unfair and needed to be corrected. And when the Senate approved it with a decisive vote, it sent a clear message. The system had to change, so what does this actually mean for people right now? First and foremost, those two long-standing rules that reduced benefits have been eliminated. That alone is a major shift. For millions of retirees, it means their Social Security payments are being recalculated without those reductions. The result? Higher monthly checks. On average, some individuals are seeing increases of around $300 to $360 per month, and in some cases, even more. That's not a small adjustment. Over the course of a year, that adds up to thousands of dollars money that can make a real difference in day-to-day life. But it doesn't stop there. The law is also retroactive to January 2024. That means if you were affected, you may be owed back payments for the months you should have been receiving higher benefits. And those payments aren't just symbolic. Some people are already receiving lump sums totaling several $1,000s. Think about what that could mean. Paying off lingering debts, catching up on bills, finally having a bit of breathing room financially. For many, it's not just about the money, it's about relief. Now, let's talk about who this impacts most directly. If you worked in a public service job like teaching, law enforcement, firefighting, or certain government roles, you also had other jobs where you paid into Social Security. There's a strong chance you were affected by the old rules. Under the new law, those reductions are gone, which means your benefits should reflect what you actually earned. And if you're a spouse or surviving spouse, this could be even more significant. Previously, benefits in these situations were often reduced heavily or eliminated altogether. Now, those restrictions no longer apply in the same way, opening the door for much higher payments. But here's something very important that often gets overlooked. Not everyone will automatically receive these increases without taking any action. Yes, the Social Security Administration is working to update records and adjust payments. But depending on your situation, there may be steps you need to take to ensure everything is processed correctly. For example, if you were previously denied benefits or chose not to apply because you believed you wouldn't qualify under the old rules, it might be time to revisit that decision. Filing a new application or updating your information could be the key to unlocking those benefits. And this is where staying informed becomes critical. Don't assume everything is being handled behind the scenes. Take the initiative to check your status, review your records, and, if necessary, reach out directly to the Social Security Administration. At the same time, it's important to be cautious. Whenever there's a major change like this, it tends to attract scammers who try to take advantage of the situation. You might receive calls, emails, or messages claiming to help you access your benefits faster for a fee or in exchange for personal information. Be very careful with that. Official agencies do not operate that way. If something feels off, it probably is. Stick to official sources and verify any communication before taking action. Now, beyond the financial aspect, there's something deeper happening here. This change represents recognition. It's an acknowledgement that the contributions of public servants matter and that the system didn't always treat them fairly in the past. It's a correction of a long-standing imbalance that affected millions of lives. For many retirees, this isn't just about getting more money each month. It's about finally feeling seen and valued after years of being overlooked. And if you think about it, that's long overdue, so as this continues to roll out, take a moment to reflect on your own situation or the situation of someone close to you. Are there benefits that were reduced in the past? Were there assumptions made based on outdated rules? This might be the time to revisit those questions, because the landscape has changed. And the sooner you understand how it affects you, the sooner you can take advantage of it. As we come to the end of this discussion, keep one thing in mind. This isn't a handout. This isn't something extra being given away. This is money that was earned through years of work, now finally being delivered the way it should have been all along. So don't leave it sitting on the table. Stay informed. Take action if needed, and make sure you're receiving every dollar you're entitled to. And if you know someone who might benefit from this, share the information with them. Sometimes all it takes is one conversation to change someone's financial future. Because moments like this don't come around often, but when they do, they can make a lasting difference.